A door, cloaked in a delicate web of time, stands as a threshold to the forgotten. Behind it lies a place where the world has stood still, its walls steeped in memories that refuse to fade. This was the home of the Frizo family. In the French village, they spoke of Mrs. Frizo with admiration. The Elephant Lady, they called her. Her love for antiques and her devotion to her beloved elephant statues gave these halls their soul. They were her symbol of grace and strength. But then the seasons turned, and the footsteps that once echoed through these halls grew faint. The family, as if carried off by the winds, disappeared without warning. Yet, despite the passage of time, cabinets still hold fragile china, and a spiral staircase winds upwards, as if leading to forgotten dreams. Its rooms are veiled in the quiet embrace of age and abandonment. But what could have caused their abrupt departure in 2007? Why were these possessions, these fragments of a life, left to gather dust and decay? The manor holds its silence, guarding its secrets like an old friend who has vowed to never betray. Today we cross the threshold into a world suspended between past and present. Welcome to the Manor of the Elephant Lady. A new tale begins. So there I am inside, and I have this wonderful manor house all for myself to explore. I actually spent the last hour taking photos, and I have to say I'm really impressed with the state of decay and disrepair of some rooms, but still there is also plenty of well preserved rooms to find. It's again a real time capsule, and I found out it was actually owned by the family Frizo. It was a French family, and I found dates from around 1985, 1989. I think it's been abandoned for almost 20 years already, which is obviously a very long time for a place to be abandoned and be in this shape. Anyway, without further ado, enjoy my tour inside, as I will showcase you everything that is once left behind by this French family. I'm going to start off this video at the place where I actually shot the intro. This wonderful spiral staircase going up. Over here you see this huge pipe. It was actually leading to the chimney above, because over here they had a heater. Oh, and it's a wonderful French Godin heater. A truly vintage one, and a beautiful piece. They are still quite valuable, at least if they are in good condition, of course. Dang, look over there. Still all the buckets with the coals are standing there. Even some boots over here. 𝗦𝘁cie𝗿𝘆𝗹𝗶, this poster. This was just an area for storage. Plenty of boxes just dumped there. Still some scars from the last family. And now look at this. The main hallway, and it's just completely barricaded in the middle with so much stuff. I don't know why, but yeah, it's just so strange. But anyway, have a look over here. This is still totally pristine in contrast. A wonderful cupboard, still all the china plates have remained intact. Even some pots standing on top. Wow. Everything is just left behind of this family. And even though some rooms are trashy, still everything is there. And I honestly do not think much of the trash is vandalism. That is just how the owners did it once. Somebody once came looking here, just rearranged everything, but eventually for some reason this property was never sold or restored. Still an old scale over here. A lot of sheets. And over here there is still some files laying again, along with some telephone numbers. This was from the 25th of October 1985. That's quite some time ago already. Oh, and over here is actually another date. 1993. I also see the name Claire over here. Could have been the name of the woman, as it is a French woman's name. Now let's continue through their very, very messy kitchen, where again lots of things have just been dumped all over the place. Have a look at this. Unbelievable. There is so much stuff. Also still over here is a fridge, another fridge. That is empty. Oh, over here is actually a French book from 2007. So yeah, 20 years was maybe a little bit too much, but 12, 13 years, I think it's a good estimation. Still so much stuff over here. Also all these boxes. Makes you think, maybe even somebody's still using this place, not to live in, but just for his own storage. Who knows? Just to get rid of all the items. But then why wouldn't you close the place? And why would you leave all the windows open and leave everything left to decay? Where there's even saying stuff for the barbecue. Some candles. Right over here was their kitchen. It's messy too, but there are still some pristine parts. And some items are still left where they originally belonged. Wow. All their plates and stuff. Still some food products too. Dang. This is what I mean with some stuff is still in its original position. All the pans over here are just still hanging up, and even the roll of paper there. It has been skewed, but still it's there. Maybe they had a cat and this was actually the bucket for the cat here on the ground. Where was the sink? Cutlery. Beautiful stone sink, a really traditional one. I think the mansion has actually been built in the 19th century. From the exterior, it has a quite old style and architecture. Some coffee over here. Really makes you wonder what's actually the story that underlies this property. To just leave everything behind. And no one even seems to care about it. Anyway, I think that was it for the kitchen. Right over here was another door leading to their garden. As you can obviously see, it hasn't been opened for years and years. And then right over here, they had a tiny bathroom, which is a very strange position for a bathroom, right next to the door leading to the garden. Like in summer, if they took their morning shower, they would immediately go out and just chill in the sun. And from the kitchen we make our way to the next part. I have to admit, this part is very, very messy. But I'm just gonna show it to you. Over here on the ground, even plenty of newspapers. All the same ones, so maybe they had a son or a daughter who actually brought around the local newspaper. These papers are from 2009. So yeah, a rough 12 years maybe of abandonment. Dang. I'm literally surrounded by boxes everywhere. Oh my. The entire ceiling has collapsed over here. Well, not the entire one, but the center. And I think the entire one is following next. Dang. There's so much stuff. Alright, let's head down to their actual basement. Plenty of stuff again, but honestly, not any very interesting to see. Just everyday items. No vintage treasures. This was another storage of them. What is this doing here? There's a tripod, a camera tripod on the ground. Maybe one day an explorer came in and he lost it. Or maybe they were actually interested in photographing. And with they, I mean the people that once resided here. Well, again a huge storage, but very hard to make my way through. And I cannot make too much noise here because over here is the outside. As you can see, over there is a shed building too. But yeah, I want to stay very discreet because I'm alone. I don't want anything to happen. So yeah, I'm going back up. And I'm very excited to actually show you the other rooms because it's gonna get better and better. Keep on watching and you will find out. So from these messy areas, let's make our way to the more pristine parts now. Because that's where you were probably hoping for to see when you clicked on the thumbnail of this video. There are still a lot of books. Push dial phone over here. Some coloring pencils. And wow, have a look at this room. It's a real time capsule of the past. And very charming as well. I really like their style of interior. I think this was definitely once the dining area. They had a dining table, pretty big one, so Maybe they didn't have one child but even multiple children. What is that device over there? Actually has a keyboard, but it doesn't seem a computer to me. If anybody knows, leave it down in the comment section. It's called Tektronix 4061. Wow. I also really like that wooden ornament over there on the wall. Little teddy bear over here. A beautiful tapestry. And one thing I personally really like is that the fireplace also has a tapestry around it. And look at the tiles inside the tapestry. It's so beautiful. It's unique because I've never seen a fireplace like that with that design. And underneath is just wood. Still some tools, a net in front of the fireplace. Even a tiny bellows and some other tools over there. You can slowly see the wallpaper all peeling off. Television over here. Some clocks. And then over here is actually the other side of the hallway. Imagine that this over here was once their main door. Incredible, but that window is just gone. So plenty of water damage is happening to this place. And that's obviously just a shame. Even still all their coats hanging up here. The wind is breezing inside. Objects are just moving because of the wind. It's very, very sad what's happening to this place. It must have been a beautiful place to live once. Making my way over all the stuff over here. Alright, and then we come in a part where I was very, very surprised when I first entered it. Because if you thought you'd seen all the storage, no. Everywhere is storage here. So I definitely think somebody is using this property actually for a storage, and that person is probably still alive. They're just storing all their stuff here. Oh my gosh. I'm literally just moving myself to record a full of boxes with all random stuff. I really don't think that these people actually possessed all this stuff. I think it's definitely from somebody still using this. Like, what the heck? It's like I am inside of a store. But anyway, let's continue through another tiny corridor full of boxes and carton. Dang. You cannot even move yourself inside of these areas anymore. Some are just entirely stuffed with all those random objects. But then, have a look. Hold your seats and look at this room. Wow. Isn't she beautiful? And still so pristine. Frozen in time. As a wall. For 12 years already. With the charming curtains. A mothership on top of this tiny cabinet. And some very comfortable seats with a unique pattern. Pink wallpaper. Probably it was the woman who chose that. And have a look at this side. There is a wonderful grandfather clock. I love this one. What a beautiful antique with its wooden carvings on its case. It's broken there, can you see that? The rope is broken and that has just fallen down. So sad. I think it was made in a local clock store. There used to be a mirror too, but that one has just fallen on the ground because of decay. Broken into pieces now. And these people really liked to actually collect these elephant ornaments. It's not a usual thing, but we found it previous times as well in some places. Look over here, the knight figurines. One has fallen down. Beautiful stuffed lamb over here. And also this fake cannon, a wooden one. Some wheels. There is even another one of these cannons and another one there in the middle of the table. Another room with a wonderful marble fireplace this time. Still the net on front, a little brush for the ashes, and two other very cute elephant statues, wooden ones. I think there used to be a vase with flowers on top of them. And over here some wooden Asian statues. Oh, another one there. Over here they could put all their newspapers and magazines inside. And then a little lamp in the corner. And have a look on top of the doors. They've actually put all these things over there and on the other side as well. Oh, some huge storage again. Full of cobwebs, as you can see. Then another door over here that was just an inside cabinet, covered up inside the wall. If you have a closer look on the carpets on the ground, you can literally see how insects and animals are just eating it and it's being digested by nature. And over here was a cabinet with still all its books on the shelves and some other cute tiny figurines. Just resting behind cobwebs that have never been penetrated by anyone. Even in a tiny rock collection over here. Some crystal stone. Another stone, and actually right behind this book I also saw another one. And now I'm actually heading back to the place where I started my video, at this beautiful spiral staircase, and I'm gonna make my way upstairs because there are still some very beautiful bedrooms for us waiting. Let's go. So many boxes over there. It's saying conferences from 1962 and 1964. Oh, and look over here. This is actually saying books about photography, so they were definitely interested in photography. Well, at least these boxes were from the original family, you can tell. But why they just stored them in the middle of their staircase, I don't know. They were not very well organized, I believe. And what's this? Actually looks like a sword. I want to try to grab it out. Well, I can't open it, so I will just leave it. But have a look at the staircase from this perspective. It's so unique. Now, there is plenty of mess on this floor. As you can see over here as well. It's not messy. I'm not even going inside because I already scanned it and there's nothing like vintage or very antique to find. Now, this is one of their bedrooms, which is also quite messy, but I think this was the bedroom of the children. I really like the lamp there. Over there was also a mirror with a sink. But this room actually mainly took my interest. Veritably untouched again. On this side, plenty of stuff has been dumped. Over there, still clothes, still flowers and some books. Another sink just inside their bedroom. I think everybody had their own sink. And right behind these shutters, they could actually dress themselves, with having all the privacy, of course. And over here, still a fan, some crawls, and I think there used to be a shell collection inside of this, but plenty of things are actually outside now. I think this was for sewing maybe, still some buttons inside. Jesus Christ, so they were Roman Catholic. Oh, look over there on the ceiling. There are still mushrooms growing. There are mushrooms growing through the ceiling. What the heck? Then over here was probably a little makeup corner. With this mirror over here. There's still some glasses. Now the last thing is actually walking through this corridor, which is again full of boxes, completely full. I have to be quick because the storage of my SD card is almost full and I don't have spare SD cards with me at the moment. So I'm sorry if I'm a little bit rushing, but I'm trying just to show you the best, which is obviously not this and also not this, because that's just a storage. There are still some clothes, but that's far it. Now the best thing that rests for us in this room is this bedroom over here. It's also veritably untouched. Wow. Even a safe was left behind. As you can see, people tried to break it very forcefully to see if there was still anything inside. But I guess they failed. Look over here. Some board playing games, Cluedo. Another tiny sewing box over there. Beautiful chair. Upholstery chair. Toy piano. Ah, the last note was not working. There's nothing inside. Where are some domino bricks? There is another one of these mirrors. Wow, look. It's a very old photo there. I really like this French clock with the statue on top. So beautiful and just full of dust. Now lastly, inside this room, there's this doll laying on the bed, which is also not a very, very old one. And look at the bed cover. Beautiful how the natural light through that window is just falling inside of this room. Well, and then at the end of that very messy corridor, there's actually this one door. It's very squeaky and it's leading to the attic. Yep, I told you, it's squeaking. Now the attic has again a lot of items, but nothing interesting in general. Like, it's again just a huge dump of all those wasting items. Well, the attic is mostly in general just a storage of so many boxes again. Of course, I will try to look if I can find something interesting to give you the closest experience as I am having it at the moment. And if I find something interesting, I will show it to you. Actually, on the ground over here are some very old weights for lifting. And I don't know what this exactly was, but it was like a helmet. But yeah, looks quite interesting. And over here is actually a beautiful old baby chair. One of the only interesting finds on this attic. I really like it, it's very antique. A seat for horse riding, and furthermore, of course, boxes again. Next week, we explore an abandoned home in Belgium from a filmmaker and radio technician, where time stood still. Stay tuned.